First lesson, run towards it. The thing that you are scared of. When you run towards what you're scared of, it almost becomes scared of you. I don't know if you've ever seen like a dog running after a dog. It runs after it, and then that dog turns around and runs after it. And that's how we reverse fear. The things that we are scared of, whether that is speaking in public, whether that is having our first fight, or whether that is traveling, going alone somewhere. It's scary. It's meant to be scary. Look, I'm not gonna promise that by the end of this video, you're never gonna feel fear again, because that would be a lie. But I am gonna promise that by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly what fear is. You're gonna know where it comes from. But most importantly, you're gonna know how to build a relationship with it. Build a relationship with the fear so that it doesn't consume you. Build a relationship with fear so that the next opportunity that you get, you're gonna be able to take it, but still feel fear. Look, see, courage is not feeling fear, because then that wouldn't be courageous. Courage is feeling fear and doing it anyway. Point 2. Lesson number 2. Separate fear from danger. So fear actually originates from a good thing, which has kept us alive, right? I want you to cast your mind back hundreds of years. Our ancestors in the tribes, you had 2 people that would look at a bush. They'd hear like a rustle in a bush. One of them would be really optimistic and think, oh, it might be some food in there. Go in the bush and a tiger jumps out and eats them. The other one would be pessimistic and would be like, I ain't going near that bush. I'm going over here and I'm going home. Now that person would survive. Fear has evolved through that. Fear has evolved through us being pessimistic and surviving. However, we don't need to do that no more. And fear can actually have a counter effect on us now, where it holds us back. We need to separate fear from danger. What's actually dangerous now is, I don't know, if somebody is running at you in the street with a gun in their hand, that's a bit dangerous. However, if you're going up to speak in front of a crowd of people, deliver a story, send a message, help people, teach someone something, that's not dangerous. And as I mentioned at the start of this video, this is about building a relationship with fear. If 4 or 5 people come up to you with guns or whatever, I'm not getting involved. However, if you got to go on stage and speak, go on stage and speak. The third one, and this is the most important when it comes to building a relationship with fear so that we can overcome it. Evidence. Evidence quiets the beast. Again, we're going all the way back to the first time we felt fear. We had no evidence. We had no prior context to the roller coaster. In our head, that roller coaster was going to do a flip and we was going to fall off and we was going to die. We can't compare it to anything because we've got no evidence. We've never done it before. That first time that you come off the roller coaster and you've done it, conquered it. Yep, I ain't scared of heights no more. Why? It's not because you're not scared of it anymore. It's because you have evidence. You have evidence to say that this thing is not that scary. I've done it before. And that fear starts to quieten down. Now, the next time you get on that roller coaster, are you going to feel a little bit of fear? Maybe a little bit, however, it won't be gripping. It's not going to be to the point where it stops you. And that is how we build a relationship with fear. Now, a month ago, I signed up to my first fight, my first jiu-jitsu fight, after about 4 months, 5 months of training. And I wasn't ready. I didn't know what I was doing. And you'll see in the video, I didn't even know how to tie my uniform. However, I didn't take this fight to win. I didn't take this fight to perform. I took this fight because I felt fear. Now, after learning these 3 things about fear, it completely changed the way I look at it. Do you remember that first roller coaster ride that you got on? Or that first time you had to go speak in front of people? Well, I do. And I'll tell you for free. It was horrible. Both the roller coaster and the school play where I had to say a line. I had to say a line and I was shivering. Yeah, I did not want to do it. In those moments, especially the roller coaster one, it took years. And every time I'd go to a theme park, I would never go on rides. I'd just stand there. I'm not getting involved. I don't want to be a part of it. But then there was one time where a teacher actually pushed me a bit and said, do it, go for it, do it. Got peer pressured into it. Build up to getting on the ride. It's horrible. Oh, please, I hope the ride gets cancelled. I hope something happens. I don't want to do this ride. And then got on it. I'm here now. I can't get off. I'm still petrified. I'm still shaking throughout this whole process. But then the ride starts. I'm talking about a literal roller coaster. But I want you to envision, I want you to picture the moment that you felt this fear. It might be the first time you've done something else, but I want you to vividly picture it. The roller coaster started and it took about a minute or 2. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm not dead. And after that roller coaster, I got off and I tried to go to every other roller coaster in that theme park. Why? Because I'd overcome fear. You have, at some point in your life, overcome fear. Remember that feeling right after of joy, of I can do anything now. And that feeling is fantastic. And that feeling is how we should feel. However, fear creeps in and stops us. Just started jujitsu. I'm more of a striker. I've been doing boxing for about 2 years, but just started jujitsu. Only been doing it for about four to 6 months, right? I didn't sign up for that fight to win, nor did I sign up to that fight to perform, nor did I even sign up to that fight thinking about any medals that were going to be around my neck. And I'll reveal the surprise a little bit later in the video. But I signed up to that fight because I felt fear and I didn't want to feel that fear anymore. And that's why I spent 2 years boxing. And I thought that surely that feeling would have gone. I've had hundreds of sparring sessions, hundreds of fights, but I still felt that fear when it came to performing in front of people. And I said to myself, this is the thing to run towards. Because every time I've run towards fear, I've got better. Every time we run towards fear, on the other side of it is that joy. The way we have to look at fear is that it's an ocean that's a mile wide and it's a dark blue ocean and we can't see the depths of it. And from afar, it looks scary. But then we get up close. And this is what happens when we take steps into fear, when we run towards fear. What happens is that we see that ocean. And as I said, it's a mile wide. It looks massive. However, it's an inch deep. Now, if I told you there's an ocean that's an inch deep, you'd probably start walking on it. However, if I told you there's an ocean over there that's a mile wide and you couldn't see that it was an inch deep or feel that it was an inch deep, you probably wouldn't walk on it because it's scary. And that is the picture of fear. That is what fear is. Evidence will quieten the beast. Now, evidence, we can get into spiritual evidence. In the Bible, it says in Timothy, "For I have not given you the spirit of fear, but of peace, of power, and of a sound mind." Now, that's what it says. This is God's promise to us. This is God's promise to me. So, and this is something I had to tell myself nights before the fight. And I'm laying in bed like, flip, what's going to happen? Crap. I had to tell myself this. And this is hard. This is a process. It's not something you snap your fingers and, I don't feel fear anymore. However, this fear that I'm feeling, God hasn't given it to me. It says part of my evidence to say, not that I shouldn't be feeling this, but I shouldn't agree with it. And that's the difference, fear, danger. We can feel it, but do we agree with it? And how do we slowly start to stop agreeing with it? Build evidence. That was my evidence going into that fight. I had no other evidence because I hadn't performed in jiu-jitsu before. I hadn't done it before. So my mind was going crazy. Now, 100% my next fight, I'm going to be in my head a little bit fear, bit of feeling nervous and all that stuff, but it's not going to be as gripping as it was. Why? Because I've got evidence I've done it before. Not to brag, but I actually won that fight somehow. As I said, I didn't go there to win the fight. I wouldn't have felt that bad if I didn't, because that wasn't my intention. I'd already won the moment I walked on the mat. That's how we overcome fear. All right, so if you made it this far, hello. Fear is a signpost. There's a thing right now that you're probably a little bit scared of, and that's the thing you need to run towards, within reason. If you're scared of dogs, that doesn't mean go run after a dog. It's within reason. This is all for the internal work, right? And you're way stronger than you realize. Way, way stronger than you realize. And the first time's always the hardest. The first time getting on stage and speaking in front of people is always the hardest. The first time fighting in an arena in front of people is always the hardest. The first time going into the gym when you don't know what you're doing is always the hardest. However, my overwhelming message is simply to say that it only gets easier and that it doesn't get any harder. That's the hardest it's ever going to feel. And then once you sort of get over that, it's like with everything, every skill that I've learned and developed is come from that first barrier feeling like a mountain. And then once that mountain sort of moves, you see that the rest are sort of little valleys. There's still a climb, but less so. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. And yeah, I guess I'll see you at some point. There might be a link in the description to click something, go somewhere. But if not, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.